everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a book that I'm going to read to you. It's called Yertle the Turtle and Other Stories. This book has 3 stories in it. So the first one we are reading is Yertle the Turtle. So enjoy. Yertle the Turtle. One on the faraway island of Salamason, Yertle the turtle was king of the pond. A nice little pond. It was clean, it was neat, the water was warm, there was plenty to eat. The turtles had everything they might need. They were also happy, quite happy indeed. They were until Yertle, the king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was too small. I am the ruler, said Yertle, of all that I see, but I don't see enough. That's the trouble with me. With this stone for a throne, I look down on my pond, but I cannot look down on the places up beyond. This throne that I sit on is too low down. If I could sit high, how greater it'd be what a king. I'd be the ruler of all I could see. So Yertle, the turtle king, lifted his hand, and Yertle, the turtle king, gave a command. He ordered 9 turtles to swim to his throne, and using those turtles, he built a new throne. He made each turtle stand on another one's back. He piled them all up in a 9 turtle stack. And Yertle the turtle climbed up. He sat down on the pile. What a wonderful view! He could see almost a mile. All mine, Yertle cried. Oh, the things I now rule. I'm king of a cow. I'm king of a mole. I'm king of a house. And what's more beyond that, I'm king of a blueberry bush and a cat. I'm Yertle the turtle. Oh, marvelous me, for I am the ruler for all that I see. And all through that morning he sat up there high, saying over and over, A great king am I. Until round about noon, then he heard a faint sigh. What's that? Snapped the king. He looked down at the stack. He saw at the bottom a turtle named Mac. Looked up and said, Beg your pardon, King Yertle. I've pains in my back, my shoulders and knees. How long must we stand here, your majesty, please? Silence! The king of the turtles barked back. I'm the king, and you're only a turtle named Mac. You stay in your place while I sit here and rule. I'm a king of a cow. I'm a king of a mule. I'm a king of a house and a bush and a cat. But that isn't all. I'll do better than that. My throne shall be higher, his royal voice thundered. So pile up more turtles. I want about 200. 200. Turtles, more turtles, he bellowed and brayed. And the turtles way down in the pond were afraid. They trembled, they shook, but they came. They obeyed. From all of the pond, they came swimming by dozens. Whole families of turtles with uncles and cousins, and all of them stepped on the head of poor Mac. Once after another, they climbed up the stack. Then Yertle the turtle was perched up so high he could see 40 miles from his throne in the sky. Hooray! Shouted Yertle. I'm the king of the trees. I'm the king of the birds. I'm the king of the bees. I'm the king of the butterflies, king of the air. Ah me, what a throne, what a wonderful chair. I'm Yertle the turtle, oh marvelous me. I'm the ruler of all that I see. Then again from below, in the great heavy stack, came a groan from that little plain turtle named Mac. Your Majesty, please, I don't like to complain, but down here below we are feeling great pain. But I know from the top you are seeing great sights. But now on the bottom we are too. We have rights. We turtles can't stand it. Our shells will crack. Besides, we need food. We are starving, groaned Mac. You hush up your mouth, howled the mighty King Yertle. You have no right to talk to the world's highest turtle. I'm, I'm, I'm rule from the. I rule from the clouds, over the land, over the sea. There's nothing, no, nothing that's higher than me. But while he was shouting, he saw with surprise that the moon of the evening was starting to rise up over his head in the darkening skies. What's that? Snorted Yertle. What is that? What is that thing that dares to be higher than Yertle the king? I shall not allow. I'll allow it. I'll go higher still. Build my throne higher. I can, and I will. I'll call more turtles. I'll stack them to heaven. I need about 5,607. But as Yertle the turtle lifted his hand and started to order and give the command, that that plain turtle below in the stack, that plain little turtle whose name was Mac, decided he had taken enough. He had And he had that plain little lad that got a little bit mad. And that plain little Mac did a plain little thing. He burped, and his burp shook the throne of the king. And Yertle the turtle, the king of the trees, the king of the air, the king of the birds and the bees, the king of the house and the cow and the mule. Well, that was the end of Yertle the turtle's king rule. For Yertle, the king of all Salamandshond, he fell high off his throne and fell plunk in the pond. And today, the great Yertle the turtle, that marvelous, he is the king of the mud. That's all he can see. And the turtles, of course, all the turtles are free as turtles and maybe all creatures should be. And that's the end of Yertle the turtle. And now the second story is called. Just 1 second. Gertrude McFuzz. There was once a girl bird named Gertrude McFuzz, and she had the smallest plain tail ever was. One droopy drop feather. That's all she had. And oh, that one feather made Gertrude so sad. For there was another young bird that she knew, a fancy young birdie named Lola Lee Lau. And instead of one feather behind, she had two. She had two. Poor Gertrude, whenever she happened to spy Miss Lola Lee Lau flying by in the sky, she got very jealous. She frowned as she ported out. Then one day she got awfully cross and she shouted, This just isn't fair. I have one and she has two. I must have a tail just like Lola Lee Lao. So she flew to her uncle, a doctor named Dake, whose office was high up in a tree by the lake, and cried, Uncle Doctor, oh please, do you know of some kind of pill that will make my tail grow? Toot toot, said the doctor, such a talk, how absurd. Your tail is just right for your kind of a bird. Then Gertrude had tantrums. She raised such a din that finally her uncle, the doctor, gave in. He told her where she could find a pill on a pill on a pillberry vine on the top of the hill. Oh, thank you, chirped Gertrude McFuzz. She flew right straight up to the hill where the pillberry grew. Yes, there was the vine. So as soon as she saw it, she plucked off a berry and started to go on it. It tasted just awful, almost made her sick. But she wanted that tail, so she swallowed it quick. Then she felt something happen. She felt a small twitch as she had been tapped down behind by a switch. And Gertrude looked round and cheered. It was true, two feathers, exactly like Lola Lee Lao. Then she had an idea. Now I know what I'll do. I'll grow a tail better than Lola Lee Lao. These pills that grow feathers are working just fine. So she nibbled another off the vine. She felt a new twitch, and then Gertrude yelled, Whee! Miss Lola has two. Has Miss Lola has just two. I have three. When Lola Lee Lao sees this beautiful stuff, she'll fall right down flat on her face. Sure enough, I'll show her who's pretty. I certainly will. Why, I'll make it my tail even prettier still. As she snatched those berries that grew on that vine, she gulped down 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and she didn't stop eating. Young Gertrude McFuzz till she eaten 3 dozen. That's all there was. Which is 36 berries. And look, she has 36 tails. Then the feathers popped out with a zang, with a zing. They blossomed like flowers that bloom in the spring, all fit for a queen. There was a sight of behold. They sparkled like diamonds and gumdrops and gold, like silk, like spaghetti, like Satan, like lace. They burst, they burst out like rockets all over the place. They waved in the air and they swished in the breeze. There was some There were some as long as branches of trees, and they still kept growing. They popped and they popped until around about sundown finally they stopped. And now, giggled Gertrude, the next thing to do is fly straight home and show Lola Lee Lao. And when Lola sees these, why, her face will get red and she'll let out a scream and fall right down dead. Then she spread out her wings to take off from the ground, but with all those feathers she weighed about 90 pounds. She yanked and she pulled and she let out a squawk. But that bird that couldn't fly, couldn't run, couldn't walk. And all through that night she was stuck on that hill. and Gertrude McFuzz might be until stuck up there still. If her good Uncle Dake hadn't heard her girl yelp, he rushed to rescue her and brought along help. To lift Gertrude up almost broke all their beaks, and to fly back home almost took 2 weeks. And then it took another week more to pull out those feathers. My Gertrude was sore. And the moral of this story is that that's what greed can lead to. So much greed can lead to problems, just like Yertle the turtle and Gertrude. So please, don't be greedy and be grateful. But can you excuse me? I have to quickly go to the bathroom. Then I'll read the big. Now I'm gonna start the last one. The Big Brag. The rabbit felt mighty important that day. On the top of the hill, in the sun where he lay, he felt so important up there on that hill that he started to brag as the animals will. He boasted out loud as he threw out his chest. Of all the beasts in the world, I'm the best on the land, on the sea, even up in the sky. No animal lives who is better than I. What's that? Growled a voice that was terribly gruff. Now why do you say such ridiculous stuff? The rabbit looked down. He saw a big bear. I'm the beast of the beasts, said the bear, and so there. You, you're not, snapped the rabbit. I'm better than you. Pooh, the bear snorted. Again, I say, pooh, you talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit. Mr. Rabbit, that's true. But how can you prove it? Just what can you do? The rabbit thought. Now what can I do? He thought and he thought. Finally, he said to Mr. Bear, do you see those 2 ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine, no ears in the world can hear further than mine. Huff, the bear grunted. He looked at each ear. You say they are good, said the bear with a sneer. But how do I know how far they can hear? I'll prove, said the rabbit. My ears are the best. You can sit there and watch me. I'll prove it by test. Then he sniffed his ears till they both stood high up. He stretched his ears open as wide as he could. Shh, I'm listening. As he stood, he listened so hard that he started to sweat, and the fur on his ear's forehead got wet. For 7 long minutes he stood. Then he stirred, and he said to the bear, "Do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain. I just heard him cough. Now the cough of a fly, sir, is very quiet to hear, and when he is 90 miles off, but I heard it quite clear. You see now? So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true. My ears are the best. I am better than you." And that's the mountain right there. The bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, for he knew that his ears couldn't hear things like that. This rabbit thought that he made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he. So he said to the rabbit, "You hear pretty well, but can you hear 90 miles off? But how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers," he brags. "See my nose? This nose is on my face. It's the finest," he growls. My nose can smell anything from far and near. With my nose, I can smell twice as far as you hear. You can't, snapped the rabbit. I can, growled the bear. And he stuck his big nose way high up in the air. He wriggled that nose and sniffed, and he snuffed. He waggled that nose and he whiffed and wuffed. For more than 10 minutes, that snuff and he snuffed, and then he said to the rabbit, "I've smelled far enough." And that's where he finally stopped. "All right," said the rabbit. "Come on and tell me exactly how far that you can smell." "Oh, I'm smelling very far," said the bear. "Away past the fly on that mountain out there. I'm smelling past my great mountains beyond 600 miles, more to the edge of a pond." And way, way out there by the pond, you can't see. It's a very small farm, and on that farm is a tree. On the tree is a branch. On the branch is a nest, a very small nest where two tiny eggs rest. Two hummingbird eggs, one only half an inch long. But my nose, said the bear, is so wonderfully strong. My nose is so good that I smelled without fail. Those that egg that on the egg on the left is a little bit stale. So that thing is no rabbit can do. And if you see, the bear boasted, I'm better than you. My smeller is so keen that I can't just be beat. What's that? Called a voice from far away down by his feet. The bear and rabbit looked down at the sound. They saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. Now, boys, said the worm, you have been bragging a lot. You both think you're great, but I think you are not. You're not half as good as a fellow like me. You can hear and you can spell, but how far can you see? Now I'm here to prove that you big boasting guys, that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes. And that little old worm cocked his head to one side. He opened his eyes, he opened them wide, and he looked far away with a straight sort of stare, as he as if they were burning two holes in the air. The eyes of that worm were almost popped from his head. He stared half an hour till his eyelids got red. That's enough, growled the bear. Tell the rabbit and me. How far did you look? What did you see? Look, Japan and China. Well, boys, the worm answered, I took a look at further than you. I'll ever looked. I looked across the ocean way out to Japan. For as long as I can see further than anyone else. There is no one on earth who has eyesight that's finer. I looked past Japan, then I looked across China. I looked across Egypt, then I took a quick glance across the two countries, Holland and France. And then I looked across England and also Brazil. But I didn't stop there. I looked much further still. And I kept looking and looking until I looked around the world and right back to this hill. I saw this hill since my eyesight's so keen. The two of the biggest fools that have ever been seen are the fools that I saw were none other than you, who have seemed to be brave and who have who have seemed to nothing else better to do than to sit there and argue who's better than who. And the little old worm gave his head a small jerk, and he dived into the hole and went back to his work. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed these 3 stories today that I just read for you. And if you want to listen to more of my stories, please like and subscribe. Bye.